What's going on, everybody? It's Chris from Out West with Chris, here to chat with you about a bait that I had a poor impression of prior to about 6 months ago, and one that I think can catch you a lot of fish. And I want to bust a myth, and that myth is that this bait, the stick bait, only catches small fish. Okay guys, so today we are going to chat about stick baits in general, and specifically wacky rigging. There are so many different ways you can fish a stick bait. You can fish it like on a worm hook weightless, you can Texas rig it, you can Carolina rig it, you can drop shot it, or you can use it wacky style. Okay, so we'll go into what wacky style is and some of the gear that I use. We'll also talk about where I throw it, when I throw it, and some of the different options that are out there for stick baits. And then we're gonna fish with it a little bit today. I don't have a lot of time to fish, but you know, got a little bit, and we can hopefully catch a fish or two and you know, have some fun. Before we get into it too far, just want to tell you guys a little backstory. Prior to about 6 months ago, I had the impression that stick baits, Senkos, you know, stick baits in general, pretty much just caught you small fish. Somebody urged me to try it out, and I got a lot of feedback from viewers on my channel that, hey, I catch big fish with this. You know, you gotta give it a shot, gotta work it, you know, at least work it into, you know, what you're taking out and throwing on occasion. So I did, and I fished it pretty hard, and right off the bat I'll tell you, I didn't catch too many big fish, but then the big fish started coming. And in the last 2 months I've caught almost a 7-pounder, other fish that were in around 6 pounds, and multiple 5-pound bass on stick baits. And it's just worked really well. And I think the place that a stick bait shines is if you just want to get out and catch fish. You will catch small fish, you will, but you can also catch big fish with a stick bait. And you know, I've got the footage to prove it. Got a big one. Ooh. Ooh, yeah, that's a good fish. Yeah, nice big fish. 5 pounds 4 ounces. That's a good fish. So really quickly, let's talk about what gear I use, and this is going to be different for everybody. Personally, I like to use a spinning rod and reel when I'm throwing a stick bait. I feel like it just gives a little bit better control on placement and a little bit more of that finesse touch. So I use almost exclusively the Phantom rod from KastKing. This is their kayak rod. I also use the KastKing Sharky 2, this one shown here. I've used the KastKing Mellow 2 with great results. The line that I use is the Fluorocoat from KastKing, and I use either a 12-pound or a 17-pound Fluorocoat. And Fluorocoat is just a fluorocarbon coated copolymer line. It gives it, you know, pretty invisible appearance underwater, but you still get some good knot strength, and you get some you know, good line strength too. And I've horsed in some big fish and some nasty spots. That stuff is all really important. The other thing that's important is your hook. And I started out using an owner wacky rig hook, and I transitioned over to the drop shot hook from Trapper Tackle several months ago, and man, I gotta tell you, this hook is really good. My hookup ratios have increased, and I'm not saying anything bad about the owner hook. If that's what you like, that'll work. You know, you just don't want too big of a hook. This drop shot hook from Trapper Tackle works really well. And basically, to wacky rig, all you're doing is you're putting that hook into the stick bait in the middle. So let's talk about stick baits in general. This one is a Yamamoto Senko. There are off-brands that are similar to the Yamamoto Senko, and then there are a ton of other companies that come out with, you know, their own version of a stick bait. One that's been working really good for me lately, and the one that I've been catching big fish with, is the Flick and Shake from Jackal, and it is a longer stick bait. It's a little bit thinner. A lot of people use those for Nico rigs, but I've been using it for wacky rigging and catching nice fish with it. It's about 6.8 inches long, and it works perfectly. It just works really, really well. As you can see, there are companies that make all sorts of types of stick baits. This is from Angler's Choice. Gambler has a stick bait. Wave. I mean, pretty much every company comes out with a stick bait. So you have a ton of options. The Senkos work well and they hold up pretty well. The plastic holds up pretty well, but they are expensive. So that's one reason why I've looked for alternatives that are a little bit cheaper. One thing you do keep in mind is after a while, the fish will knock these off and they'll get beat up and fall off your hook. So you can go through quite a few if you're using a lot in a day. One way to get around that is to get you know, some of these saddles, these O-ring saddles, and a wacky tool. So basically with this, you just stick the worm into there and you slide the O-rings over the worm and then you're hooked through there. And it keeps the worm on your line longer so that you know, you're not going through as many baits in a time period. So check those out. Those are a great thing to add to your arsenal so that you're not wasting a lot of money. So the last thing to really talk about is where to throw it. And for me, where I fish, I'm throwing this at cover, as close to cover as possible without being in the cover. I want to be just right outside the cover, whether that cover is tules, brush, mats. The reason why I don't want to be in the cover is because you have an exposed hook, and that exposed hook is going to get hung up on stuff. You know, throwing it at grass beds and stuff like that, you will get hung up, but that's where you do need to throw it. Those bass are going to come out of these pockets. Bam, hit your Senko, and you're going to have fish on. So to illustrate this, go through and fish with you guys a little bit and just kind of show you where I'm throwing these, and hopefully we can catch some fish today. First fish of the day. There's a little guy. I'm not skunked. One other nice thing about stick baits, and I put a different type on, but one of the nice things about them is you can pretty easily skip them under trees and docks and stuff like that. And that's one reason I like using a spinning rod. I feel like I can skip it a little bit better for some reason. So it's pretty easy. Oh, we got a fish. He's not bad too. That's a good fish, guys. This is gonna be one we get the net for. He's not on my normal side, but we'll get him. Yeah, nice fish. Not a bad fish at all. Get him. Pretty good, healthy fish. A little bit skinny. He's almost 18 inches, actually. We caught that one on this Angler's Choice. And this is called a warthog. It's got some kind of texture to it, some bumps. So right here, I flipped at this mat. I let the stick bait sink. I was using the Wave stick bait on this one, and I felt that tug, and that fish went right into the vegetation. I mean, he was down in there, and I had to horse him out. As you can see, I mean, it was quite the fight on this fish. And that's one thing that's nice about this line that I'm using. I don't have to worry a whole lot. I've been able to horse some pretty nice fish out of some pretty nasty spots. And again, just throw at the edge of the cover, guys. Throw at the edge of the cover. I got one. Oh, right out of its mouth. I should have let him hold it for a little bit longer. I mean, I saw him come from out from underneath the mat. Dang. I got one. Pretty sure. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Not a bad fish. It's probably 15, 16 inches. Not too bad. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that these tips really help you catch some more fish, and hopefully some big ones. I've been having a blast fishing these stick baits, and I think that they can help you guys catch more fish too. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and as always, thanks for getting out west with Chris.
Got to be